Yeah, I just wanted to mention that our partners in Prague regarding organizing Orchard Harvest Conference reported back that they contacted the update conference many times, but they doesn't really seem to want to work together. So we will definitely organize the event separately, but they are starting the research for the best options now. But I'm sure that we will have a really nice conference in this way as well.
A better one.
Yeah, even a better one.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Topics. Demos. Who's
I
got
have.
demos?
If you want me to demo, I can demo.
And I would have an announcement. Not a demo, just a short announcement.
You do that. So plan. But before Victoria interrupts us, I forgot to mention that. What did we do last week? We got a demo from my MCP integration modules, MCP everywhere, and Milo's showing widgets integration in the Lombiq UI toolkit. Status. This one. Option 1. LazyLoadConvention. Surprising it was not there, but now there is an attribute to LazyLoad to put on properties to mark them LazyLoad. And now I wonder how it was done before. Not by attribute, maybe, but there was a way for sure to define something was LazyLoaded. No, there is an attribute. And this one exposed Redis API to multiple keys using wildcard syntax has been merged. So if you want to delete 3 keys with a pattern, you can do that in Redis because there is a new interface. Function core, just checking last week, 15. Click there. Force release, TreatWarningsAsErrors is true. So this works.
This has been changed a few times back to back. That did not work. I tested it out, which I was surprised because I've seen Microsoft use it in some of their projects.
It's documented, yeah, also. So maybe because of the central package management. Interesting.
Yeah, it is, but I've seen it using it the same exact way, and it didn't work for me.
For context, we are shipping to 1.7, and some packages that were referenced into 1 are not are vulnerable. So people can update the packages if they want. We don't want to do that because it forced us to do some major updates, which we don't want to do for some people, so people can do that. But to be able to deploy to NuGet, we need to ignore this warning that this package is vulnerable now. So this is what we do. So this is the same package as before. It's just that we know it's vulnerable. If people don't want this version, then they can update to the newer version too. Or the patch release here. And in the end, it's done by changing the GitHub action to ignore it at the command line level. But here, don't we? Or don't temporarily to build the packages and then remove after, so we don't keep that. Fix registration settings tabs in content. Now, remember we triaged it on Thursday. Last week there was a screenshot that showed a better name for the tab. I'll probably use this one.
Yeah, it just seems that if you add tabs, the default name is content.
Yeah,
And,
that's fine.
Yeah. So this just renames it to general, as it is for the other such settings.
Then Mike updating the global.json to pin it to 100 such that anything you have in the .9 will work. You don't require any specific version of the .9, whatever SDK you want. You will be able to use it to build and deploy. Clean up and more robust behavior for ElasticsearchIndexStep. Yeah, so a base class, checking stuff, so improving that.
I think this PR was merged prematurely. It wasn't complete.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so, because it wasn't documented. And also there was still other instances of indices that should be changed.
Oh, I didn't realize that we changed. I didn't realize it was changing the steps here. I saw the change in name, but I didn't realize the technical
We
change.
still support both names. It's okay.
Okay.
But it should be documented, and also we should have changed the UI, because now the UI say indices and it also should say indexes. So we're
Did you put a comment on the PR so that
I
there is a
did,
follow-up?
but I was hoping for it to be fixed before we merged it, but I seen it merged. I'm like, okay, we'll just have to follow up.
Change logging level when trying to save a duplicate file. Yes, so when you are on the media management and you upload a file that already exists, it will fail with an error. And now it will fail with a...
Shouldn't it read file exists, not exists file? That exception?
No, because I believe because it's a
of the
5-star exception.
base,
That's
yeah,
why.
because of the baseline.
Yeah, but can it call it file exists?
Can call it
Exception.
Yeah, and then
anything,
it's
but
file exists file store exception. It's
Yeah.
duplicated file. That's why we got this name.
It would been nice to see it being final, or but whatever.
mean, sealed?
Sealed.
Okay.
Sealed, yeah.
final.
Yeah.
What language should we speak?
I don't know why I remember that's PHP, but I don't know why that came to mind.
Well, it doesn't matter much. So there is a new exception, and this way it will be caught explicitly, and this way in the controller, it can say, let's log a warning instead of an error. And if it's not something that we expected, then it will be logged as an error. It's a log internal log path. So NLog can log issues for itself. And if NLog is logging itself something, then it will go in the internal NLog.txt file. And this syntax was not working, it's not supported for the internal log. So this has to be updated to this syntax instead for the internal log. We learned something today. New contributor. Disable Renovate updates for the global.json such that it doesn't bump the 90100 that Mike set. Don't touch it. Was missing the file. I know why we do that. We only update them. And I don't understand the comment, but that's okay, as long as people understand. To keep using any more percent. You've done better comments so far. Quite disappointed.
I
should
can
ask
understand.
You could, yeah, you wrote it, and I understand because I know what you mean. You should have used ChatGPT to rephrase it.
Is there somebody here who is a native speaker actually?
It's not. It's not. I mean, you speak English well enough to. It's not the issue. I think it's It's more about how you phrase it. Right. To keep using any more recent to keep using any more recent SDK version possible.
It's perfect.
First, I would say allow instead of keep using, or to permit a more recent SDK to be used. Things like that. But yeah, whatever. We know what you mean. As long as at least 2 people understand, then there is Mike, so we have 3. So we are safe. Nobody will break it. Something moved. All this purple. The new folder. Update non-breaking dependency versions. Okay, that's the step that will merge automatically because no risk. And then there is this one, updating the images. And then there is this one that will run the test because it needs validation, because maybe it will break something. Mardig update. So let's look at Mardig and Fluid. Mardig. What's new in Mardig? New feature, allow domain without period by James Newton King. What is it doing? I think I know. I know what's in that. Then nobody knows but the people working with James. Sure. Update repository.path, enhancement, replace body field, blah blah blah, better indent control, okay, perfect improvements, nice. Another Microsoft employee, yeah, on the YARP proxy and the time. Insert pipe, improve parsing perf, lots of parsing perf. Cool. Thank you. Then read. Really, what's changed? 6 handlebars benchmark. Oh, the benchmarks update, okay. Merge bump for dependency. HMAC filters by Nathaniel. HMAC filters, which are part of the standard update apparently now. So these HMAC filters let you do HMAC SHA-1, HMAC SHA-256 hashing. So it's hashing functions like MD5. Okay, but now you have new hashing functions available, and also these things which are brand new filters for you to play with. Find index, has, and reject. Beautiful. Let's look at that. In Shopify repo, so what did they do? This is the proposal. That's not the find index. Where is the find here? Oh, here. If you have a list and you do find and a property and a value, then it will return the first element that has this property with this value. It's like a where. Okay? But just for the first item. The where will be, there is a where today, but it will give all the values. And this one will use like a first or default. And if there is none, then you will get a nil value. Okay. And the find index is the same thing, but returns the index of the element inside the list. It's zero based. The has is the same as find, but will return true or false. And reject is like if not. So it's like where but not. So it will return all the elements that don't have this property with this value. That's the new filters available in Liquid and in Thread. And I did that because someone filed an issue about a thing, and I'm like, yeah, it's hard to do. And then I looked at Shopify and they had something. The question was, how do you do year less than something? And I came up with this option, which is first you sort by the property, like here. And then now with that, you can do, give me the index of the year 2003. So you have the first element in the sorted list that has the value you want to look for. And then you do a for, and you offset by index. So in this case, it will give you everything after 2003. Okay, you can say skip everything until the index of the value 2003. So that's what it allows you to do now easily. Otherwise, it will be hard. Find index. Find index, find, has, and reject. Quite important, I think, for new features in Liquid. Back here, and finally, update GraphQL packages to 850. GraphQL. So I search for GraphQL.net. Include a list of analyzers on the overview page. I have no idea what it is. Verify services extension. I have no idea what it is, but it must be important. Add types to interface possible type, support federation interface resolution. Let's look at these two changes. The information provided in the overview. What is the overview page? Maybe there is an endpoint we choose, or we should. And this one. Maybe then we should call someone will try that. If not, George, to invoke the new validate services method on startup to ensure that everything is registered correctly instead of having a runtime error.
I'm not sure. I think we already called this.
Yeah, but we also have to be careful that throwing exception during startup. We shouldn't break the application because validation failed.
Then the app will fail.
Maybe we just don't register the feature itself, but we can't crash the app because I think we do that already lazily somehow, somewhere. I forgot.
The new method.
Yeah, but I think we do validation currently in a different way, I think.
During schema initialization, maybe it's no.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Been a while since I looked at that code.
Yeah, so it's probably that it will fail when you try to access the field and it says, no, it's not registered correctly. And with this one, we will know without testing every single field, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have it like with a preprocessor setting and detect we are on the test and then say, okay, or a functional test, and then to do that and tell us there is an issue somewhere that we are testing. Or maybe once, just once, maybe someone will run it once and say, oh, apparently this field is not registered correctly, we should fix it. Then we move it. Okay, at least we know the new features. Then, demos. Let's start with Zoltan, because...
Zoltan, yeah.
All right. So let me start screen sharing. And we are talking about this one. I will also paste this link into the chat. So renewing the admin area starts. We are going to have a kickoff that I also linked from this issue, and I'm linking from the chat too. We'll have a kickoff of the buy, who will be our UX expert here. During the kickoff, we'll go through, well, first of all, what we want to do, figuring out what we want to do, how we want to communicate day to day, because I don't want to use anything fundamentally new, but this is not a project that we have done before. And in general, how we want to run this. If you are interested, please let me know under the discussion, so as a couple of people have, and we'll organize a call and go through all of this stuff there. And in the meantime, Bai shared a Google Doc here. I'm not actually sure who can edit it or why I can edit it, but apparently I can. This is about all of these basic questions, like about our vision for not just this design, but Orchard Core in general a bit, and our intended goals, etc., that we will also cover during that kickoff call. If you would like to share your thoughts on these, then, well, either you can add your comments here in this document directly. I don't think that will work. Or you can ask Bai for access, because this is hosted by her, and add your edits like I did with the suggesting feature here. And that's where we'll start. I hope we'll have this kickoff at latest next week, and then it will be a more routine ongoing project. That's it. Please let me know in this discussion if you'd like to take part in the kickoff, and otherwise chime into the discussion if you're interested.
Thank you. Who's next?
All right. So over the weekend, I had some time to add some Orchard Core AI agent to our AI suite. The idea here is to be able to use natural language to perform tasks. You'll see there's a lot of file changes because there has been a lot of file changed. I haven't merged this yet. I'm waiting on the feedback here, and based on that, we'll probably need to add some more things, and based on that, we'll merge it and release it. But what is Orchard Core AI agent? It's a way, so we've seen this chat where you can do this about, ask it whatever you want and it'll respond. But how can we make it do work for us, do some tasks? So what I did here, there's a site admin chat profile, but I'm going to go and edit this, which is site admin chat profile. So now I put all the functionality inside it, capabilities tab. So if you click on it, you'll see there's a lot of things. Well, we've seen this last week, the MCP connection. So you can select one or more MCP connections. But now you'll see there's a lot of tasks that you can also allow it to do. So for example, you can enable these communication that allow you to send email, message, and user notification. These are available here because I have enabled the emails, I have enabled the SMS, I have enabled the notification. Otherwise, it wouldn't show up. So if you don't have the emails feature enabled, this wouldn't show up, for example. So I'm just going to tell it, hey, you can do all these things for me. And then content definition, I want to also give it access to that. I want to give it access to be able to manage content for me. So you see, we can clone content, create, delete, publish, retrieve, existing, publish, unpublished, search for one. Also, I want to give it functionality to manage features. I also want to give it tools so you can import recipes and stuff. We're going to get information about role, information about time zone, and then also search users. Again, these are, you don't have to enable all of them. I'm just enabling everything so you can kind of see how it all works. So now this site admin profile has capabilities to do work for us. Now, if we go in here, we can do things like, can you send an email to Mahayek and say hi? And so now what it's going to do, it's going to actually, oh, there you go. Look, it sent me an email already. And it generated the message. And if we need the proof, I can pull up the proof that it's sent. And here it is. It's sent. So if we open this up, 1 second, and you'll see it generated the email right here. It wrote it to a local file. You can do things like, is there any user with the last name Hayek? And then, well, it hit a breakpoint. So hang on, let me just let it go. And then it's going to do a search within the system real time, and it's going to figure out if there is user or not. And as you can see, it comes back with one user. You can do other things beside just users. You can do things, can you enable the dashboard feature? Whoops, I misspelled it. Oh, look at that. The dashboard has been enabled. So if we go here, sure enough, it enabled it. Let's go back. Can you disable it? It has been disabled. Let's go here just to verify. Well, there's a problem, but it disabled it. There's an exception. Interesting. But yeah, so it disabled it. Wow, my entire application crashed because we disabled the dashboard. So anyway, that's bad, but we'll figure out why. It's not from the AI. It's probably something dependencies enabled to resolve IAD theme while attempting to. So I'm going to copy that and save it so I can look into it after this call. So anyway, so we have a lot of functionality here. I'm going to switch to another tenant because this site just broke. Can't do anything with it. This tenant, this is a default tenant. If I go to the profiles here, I also create a site admin chat tenant. In this one, you will notice here tenant management. So as you can see, you can create a tenant, disable, set up a tenant, remove a tenant, list tenant, so on and so forth. But this is only available if you are running this feature on the multi-tenants or the default app. So these are tenants that I already have. I can go back here and I can say, can you create a tenant with the name log 4 or 5? I think 4 is not available. Let's see what happens. And it hit a breakpoint. Again, I'm running this in a debug mode. The tenant's name has been successfully created. Can you show me its current status? It's uninitialized. Okay. Can you set it up? Set it up. Let's see. Hit a breakpoint. Jeez. Continue. Okay. I apologize. Okay, so you need a password. Okay. So So use password 123. Apologize. I don't know what that means. Information, try again. So something is wrong with this stuff. It worked before. But anyway, so you have the power here to do anything you want. Another thing you can do, can you create an article? No, I don't even know if we have articles here. Hang on 1 second. Okay.
Ask it to create the article type if it's not there. Done.
It can, but there's limitation. That's what I was gonna come into. Can you create an employee or article content type? And it will, with limitation. We'll talk about that next, but let's see. It's taking too long. I don't like it. So you're able to create content types. You're able to manage, so you can find content types. You can also create. You can create contents from here. You can publish, unpublish, clone, revoke. I'm not sure. There's something wrong here. It's not working. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. You can also run recipes. So we have recipes here. We can ask it to run, anything in here. We can, let me, start it all over. But you can do just about anything from here. Okay. The problem with creating content types is our documentation is not great. And so it doesn't really, many times doesn't generate good definitions. And when I looked and there's a PR to improve this page because this is important here. So it's able to create content type without a problem. Where it fails is in creating a content part. So recipe, there's a recipe in here. Content types. Yeah, maybe I'm on the wrong page. Yeah, right here.
Even aware of the documentation.
Yes, it is. That's how it gets all this information from.
But
so
what model did you use and how did you train it?
I don't train it. You can use the public model. You use our public information.
So you use the public model. Okay, you use the.
Yeah, so like for example, right here, the content definition, we do not have an example of how to create a content part, right? We don't have that. So it kind of generates that, it makes things up, which is not good.
Because the function that you use to create content types is using the JSON representation. Like how? No, what function did you provide to the MCP to create the content type?
It just it imported a recipe. Okay, so if you give it a recipe, it will import. Okay. Correct. So the chat model is supposed to create a correct recipes in order for it to be able to process them. And the way it does that is by scraping or understanding our documents, our documentation, official documentation, and that's how it builds its knowledge, right?
And
so when we don't have a great,
the constraint with it is that you have to trust that the model has the knowledge, the correct knowledge in the correct time, like when was the model updated, and maybe we can just fix it by providing custom prompts for these kind of things. Like each module could provide a prompt explaining all the features and what to do with that. So for instance, in the content module, you see, because we know that first, the doc might not be complete enough to provide the answers. And second, maybe the model is not up to date enough to know the answers that we need. So even if we fix the doc, how long will we have to wait until we have a public model that knows about it. And then, the feedback loop will be super slow. So maybe we need to provide prompts for that.
Very good point. But still, we should have better documentation, right?
Yeah,
so
if the AI
example, this
doesn't
is
know,
bad JSON, for example.
If the AI doesn't know how to create a content type from our doc, then probably nobody knows.
Well, that's true. I mean, look at this. This is even wrong. It's bad JSON right here, right? Like there's an example that we could fix, right? And then this, we should also add content part. We could also focus on the content fields. We look at the content fields here, which is very important, right? We don't have like good examples of how to create one from recipe or how to use one through a recipe, right? So we don't have great examples on these things, especially when it comes to recipes. So those things will kind of improve the output of a public model. And the reason why I did a public model and we don't want to train or because that's the quickest way that anyone would use it, right? And so if we're able to improve these things, then the output or outcome will be much better. And it's not just this, right? If you go chatgpt.com, it's using this information. So if someone is using ChatGPT to ask questions about Orchard, they're going to have bad answers because the documentation is not 100% complete. So those are the things. What is it?
But it was quite good though last time I tried. But the difference is that the documentation is for end users to do actions from the UI, and here your model is not doing actions from the UI. It needs to have low-level information about how to do things, like run a recipe. Yes, it's related, but today the doc might be sufficient for ChatGPT to tell someone to do something. For it to do it by itself, it doesn't have the interface to do it. The MCP doesn't let you click on the admin menu and then, you see what I mean? You understand. That's why the prompts might be better. I
completely understand. Yeah, I get it. I understand. But I'm just saying we can easily improve these things by just adding proper recipes.
More technical.
Yeah, it's okay. Maybe what we need to do is just add samples, right?
Yes, like full samples of technical stuff that don't make sense for users. Like, it's too complicated to read, but for an AI, yes, it would be better to have a list of full-blown samples of things, like a big recipe, and it will understand what it means.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you give it good info, like in here, if you explain a little bit more about the fields, like how to attach a field to a part, for example, using a recipe, then it's good about trying to puzzle those information together. Like I did here, you can argue with it and it would kind of fix, I don't even know, I don't think he ever finished this, right? I'm wondering if there was an exception. There might have been an exception or something. But it's able to do that. Like I've created content types many times using this because I was testing it. But the problem, it kept on failing when I asked it to say, can you create like an employee content type with a reusable person part that has 2 fields? It made up a recipe for the fields for the parts because it just doesn't have enough info.
Yeah, for this kind of usage, I'm sure we can come up with some prompts explaining how to build a recipe, what is a part, what is a field. For each field, what does the field do? What are the properties? Almost between technical documentation and AI documentation prompt. And this way it will be able to create anything. Because it knows what an article is, we tell it what fields are available, it will be able to make up a good recipe automatically without even telling what fields or whatever. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Prompt engineering.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that here, I'm not using MCP for this. I'm using standard functions because it's it's within the app. So the only time we would really need an MCP server if you want to have a different tool to connect to your app remotely and say, let's say, I don't know, let's say Lombiq have million sites going on .nest, and then they want to have a client where they can just communicate to all their instances, right? They would authenticate into one of those instances and perform using the MCP server. But in this case, you really don't. It's
use
no
the
more than functionalities.
AI's functions.
Yep. Yeah. So use AI functions.
Which is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I never tried prompt templates in AI functions. I'm not sure if they're capable. I think they are. I just don't know.
Yeah. Next step, next week. Okay, cool. Next week you come up with a good prompt text for the content type module, a prompt for the content fields module, and you just feed it automatically to the chat. And before you say, this is my context, my prompt context, my default prompt. It will load it every time when Orchard starts, and then it will know about the things you want it to know. And it can evolve, and it will be much faster than update the documentation, which might still be necessary. But this way you don't have to wait 6 months before you get the result of your documentation updates.
Yeah, I agree, but you do still agree that we should be
yeah. If the AI doesn't know, then we need to improve it. But
yeah,
for your demos and your work, you need to give it a prompt. It will be much better.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in summary, this is all the stuff that you can do. You can remove, update content part and definition, and remove them. You can get them. You can clone content item, update all the basically content item management. You can do it. I've tested it. It works great.
100% sure, and we talked about it last week between each other, that in a week of work, you can get a prompt that in the chat you say, create a tenant that will be a blog about my bakery, and create a template and the images for that. And if the prompts are correct and the features are correct, then it will create everything. And we'll have the pages,
Correct.
The content types, the content, the images, everything.
Correct. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. I mean, you can go bonanza with this. I mean, you can do whatever it is that you want. I mean, as you can see, within short period of time, I've added all these functionality.
Translate the site in blah, 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 and add a widget for the culture selector at the top. So if every module, every feature can have a small prompt explaining what it does, how to do things, then AI will be able to grasp everything that is possible to do and convert any request you ask to these things. Right.
Cool.
Thank you.
If anybody's interested in this, they can check out this PR and they can give it a test. But once I have it merged, we'll be able to use a package in here, and then you can just use it in your own package and test it out.
One small thing, I think it would be useful to have a workflow tool as well, because that's not necessarily convenient for everything, but that's ultimately allows you to do anything in Orchard Core. So from the prompts, you can start a workflow, and with that you can create content items, content types, enable, disable features.
I mean, I can add a function that will create workflows as well.
I don't mean you create workflows, but rather execute workflows. So you have an existing workflow, and just as the tools you listed.
Easier.
Yeah, that's much easier. That's like 10 seconds. It really that easy. I mean, with all the setup that we have, it's really.
You can even tell it create a workflow that will start another workflow every 10 days, for instance.
Yep. Yeah.
So you can ask it to start the workflow for you later. Like you can say create a workflow that will clean my audit trail every 30 days. And boom. Everything.
And one of the cool things also is that you can use any model. So if you're not happy with the model you're using, you can just utilize a smarter model. Obviously, the newer models are trained better or more. So if you use a better model, then
for now it's not the limitation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Once we are more documented, then we can see what the models can figure out by themselves with what we tell it.
Yeah.
And how much thoughts they can put in it and come up with solutions based on possibilities we've taught it. That would be interesting. And then Antoine, next step is to update the tryOrchard.net to make.orchard.net with one prompt. And then you get an email with the new website, but it's already complete. You ask for a website and it gives it to you. It starts it up, images, content, everything, and then you get the URL for it, just as a teaser. And then after that, Lombiq creates another company, another service that does that for a fee.
I actually tried to create a proof of concept, or rather, tried out the latest models and Cursor and GitHub Copilot with agent mode. I wanted to check whether it can create themes and even simple changes like I have an existing theme and I just wanted to change some color scheme, logo and whatnot. And I didn't really have much success.
But it will be able to do that, like, for sure. Like, you pick up any theme from any theme market, and you will tell it, hey, if you have the correct prompts and the correct doc for Orchard, then it will be able to make it for you, like 100% for sure.
I hope so.
I've done things in my code. With these models, I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, crazy thing. I don't understand how it knows, how it can guess what I wanted, or like crazy. It's crazy. And
yeah,
even
I've been impressed many
even
times.
with Orchard,
models.
like just in ChatGPT, you ask it, create me a content type article and give you a template. It will give you the fucking file name of the liquid file with the shape name correct for the type and the code inside. And I'm like, what? How? Yep. Okay, cool. So yeah, it will get there for sure. Nice.
Cool.
We are done. Any other questions, topics? So next time we need to ask, we need to show it to Victoria so she can ask ChatGPT to organize a conference for her. And it will call all the providers, find a room, subjects. It will be beautiful. Thanks everyone. See you on Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, guys.